Christian, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me about your lovely film, Sovereign.
Nice to speak with you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I am just like, had a lot of things going on with me while I was watching it. I was like, wait a minute, that's Ron from Parks and Recreation. What is he doing? That's the little boy from Room. What is he doing? Like this movie really riled me up. I do want to talk about those performances, but before we do, I just want to ask you, this film just had its premiere a few weeks ago at the Tribeca Film Festival. What was that like? This is like your first big feature film, right? So what was it like to have it debut there of all places?
It is. It was wonderful. I mean, we had our premiere in New York at Tribeca, and it took a long time to get the film made, and it's definitely a career highlight for me. It was really a dream come true, and just seeing how it's been received so far has been really fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, like watching the movie, I'm not gonna lie, like I was like, man, another movie based on like tragedy. Oh man, just what we need right now in this time in America. But I watched it and man, I my eyes were glued to the screen, and that's hard to do for me these days, okay?
Thank you.
I was just like, and took my breath away. I was most surprised to find out that like these kind of people really exist. Like at first, I thought that was there are a lot of creative liberties taken in this film, right? But that's one thing I was like, okay, this guy is just a BS artist, a con artist. He's taking people's money, but this is who he really was. So talk to me first and foremost. Talk to me about like where the idea came from to do this movie.
Mhm.
Like what compelled you to really want to make a
Yeah.
movie about this subject matter? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been interested in like fringe ideologies, cults, and conspiracy theories. That stuff is just really fascinating to me. I had a personal experience with somebody who uh, became really involved in some anti-government conspiracy thinking. Uh, a family member of mine, but it was part of a mental health issue, and so I had heard a lot of this jargon getting thrown around. And as part of that, I started researching the sovereign citizen movement and came across this crime. And this crime was just, first off, I think the father son storyline was really compelling to me. The idea of, a young kid, 15 years old at the time, Joe Kane, being homeschooled and sort of brought up in this isolated environment, what that must have been like. And it also just touched on a lot of themes that I think are really important and timely and interesting to me. So I felt like I had a unique access point to write the movie, and I also felt like it was just really timely and dramatic.
As I said before, a lot of creative liberties taken with this movie.
Hmm.
Especially the one that I was like, because whenever I find out I'm going to watch a movie based on a true story, I do not like to look it up until after I see the movie. That way I can compare what really happened, with what I just saw. And so I'm watching the movie. I was like, there's no way those characters interacted before.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
I think I know why you did it. You spoke a little bit about the movie being a relationship between fathers and sons, but um, was there something more to that connection? Was that you like you said a unique access point you thought that would make the story richer to tell?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the parallels between, it felt interesting to me to have one. Obviously, Jerry Kane is anti-authoritarian, anti-authority, anti-government, but that same sort of masculine drive, I feel like exists as part of the government and part of the official authority. There's sort of two sides of the same coin in a way, and from a uh, how these fathers are really and how they relate to their sons. Um, the Jerry Kane, Joe Kane storyline was we tried to stay pretty true to the actual events and used even a lot of their own dialogue and tried to kind of keep that as close to as sort of as accurate as possible. And then the other storylines we really fictionalized. We changed all the names. There's composite characters, new characters. We didn't, I early on um, in speaking some of the police that had been involved in this. it was relayed to me that the families involved sort of wanted their privacy respected, and I felt like the best way to tell this story, and I think everybody sort of involved agreed that by changing the names and fictionalizing those characters, that by respecting their privacy, that was sort of the most sensitive we could be to it. And so I think it's an important story to tell, and there are important true stories to tell, but you do also have a responsibility for. Um, I don't think it's necessarily right to dig into someone's life in a way that they don't want, especially if they've gone through something like this.
Totally. And just a quick sidebar. Do you know if anybody connected to either the original incident or the original investigation, or even just whoever may have, like a journalist who may have covered it when it happened, have they viewed the film? Have you gotten feedback from people who like
Yeah,
saw the story happen in real time? And what is that feedback like? What has it been like?
yeah. In Bentonville, when we screened, we did speak to a couple of certain. There were a lot of journalists, a lot of law enforcement that were there around the same time, and we recently screened the film in Arkansas. And I think at first the hesitation for a lot of the people in Arkansas was, well, is this going to be a film? Is this kind of like Hollywood coming to town and they're going to, make us look bad? And is this going to be sort of left versus right commentary? And I think they were really relieved and kind of refreshed that the film tries to stay sort of as neutral as possible and just focus on people and kind of not go into that territory. So it was a tough it was a tough line to walk, but I think the reactions have been good so far, and that's what we tried to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. This movie's very politically neutral as far as I could, detect. Not that it doesn't even matter. Like you said, the story's really like about fathers and sons, and like the sins of our fathers, going
Mhm.
down to our sons, and how, it's kind of like we kind of create generational trauma, whether we want
Yeah.
to or not. That was my takeaway from it anyway. But the video footage was very limited, my understanding, in my limited research that I did on this movie after I saw it. That I think only the body cam footage was eventually released. You can correct me if I'm wrong. They basically it was like eyewitness testimony and a couple of other factors that really helped shape the narrative of what happened that day.
Mhm.
What kind was that hard for you, somebody who wanted to tell this story? Like, what kind of research did you have access to, or did that kind of make it easier for you to take some of the creative choices that you did in this movie?
Well, I think there was a limited amount of video evidence, but there was quite a bit of research on this story that I was able to get access to. There's been a number of academic papers that were written about it as sort of a study in extremism. So there were psychological profiles. There were Jerry Kane had his online radio show and he had his seminars that he did. So we were able to get access to the video and audio of that. The police reports from the actual event we were able to get access to, and that had a lot of information. So with the information that we were able to get, we tried to stay as sort of as close to that as we could for the Kane storyline, and then filling in those details of what are the conversations happening behind closed doors. That's all the stuff that had to be dramatized and that we took artistic license with.
And you sold me on it. And I think you sold the stars on it too, because unrecognizable. Like I said, you got Ron Swanson here. You got the little boy from Room, Jacob Tremblay, unrecognizable. I mean, aside from the fact that he grew up, actually went through puberty, but literally like unrecognizable. I was like, yo, like, is this the same kid? Like, and it's kind of crazy, like how different they are from
Yeah.
anything you've ever seen them before. How was it convincing them to do this movie? Like, what? Talk to me about like the journey of getting them on this film and then
Mhm.
seeing them transform into the characters in real time.
Yeah, I mean, it being my first film as a director, it was a tremendous leap of faith from all of the cast, and we were really with this cast, it was a dream come true. I mean, I got to work with the so many of my kind of heroes, and Nick has been one of my favorite actors forever, uh, and I felt like he had he has the ability to play really paternal and really loving, but he also has that physicality where he can look really dangerous. And Jake's performance is very internal, but it's incredibly nuanced. And Dennis did an incredible job. Nancy Travis, Martha Plimpton, Thomas Mann was excellent. I really lucked out with the cast, and I think once they, sort of, it was really Nick, when Nick decided, okay, I'll take this leap and trust this director, and this team. The rest of them, kind of coalesced around him, and that's really how it came together.
Yeah, man. You got to work with a Goonie. Okay.
Yeah,
Not too
she's
many
great.
people can say that, okay?
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. She's great. She's great. Yeah, she's real, like literally what, like 10 minutes of screen time, and I was like, such a
I know
she,
she's so
she does
fantastic.
so much with so little. I love it.
Yeah.
But all right. Talk to me. I explained to you earlier what I thought the film was about. At a time where, conspiracy theories are still running amok online, uh, as recently as this week, you got the Jeffrey Epstein back in the news cycle. Oh, it's missing a minute of footage. We were promised this. You got all the tinfoil hats taken back out. Um, what does this movie mean to you? And you, like you said, you came from a unique angle to tell this story, but is there something deeper that you hope that audiences connect with?
Yeah, I mean, the movie to me is really about empathy. It's not about, excusing or condoning bad behavior or crimes like this, but it is, I think, there's a truth is a really hard thing to discern these days, and I think we're seeing that. I think there's a lack of faith in institutions and in systems that is warranted from a lot of people. A lot of people that are drawn to these conspiracy theories, uh, it's because they were injured in some way. Their house got foreclosed on, or they were denied insurance coverage that they should have not been denied. And there, or just a multitude of things. And I think this movie was trying to take a look at not. I think it's pretty simple to say, this is good or this is bad. I think that what we were trying to do was take a look at, like, well, how does this come about? In some cases it's mental health, in some cases it's just bad information. Poverty is a driver, lack of community is a driver. But I think underneath all of that is a lack of faith in sort of institutions, and I think the institutions are sort of failing. Traditional institutions are failing a lot of people right now. So I don't have the answers to it, and I think that can also feel a little frustrating that there's not sort of an answer. But I do think it's something that should be highlighted, and that's what we try to do with this film.
And you succeeded. Like I can't emphasize enough. Okay.
Thank
No,
you.
Christian, you did a really good job with this film. I just have a couple more questions for you, real quick. Is there anything else, first and foremost, that you want to say about the film that you think people should know? Whether it be, what run of show is going to be like. I know, is it going to be like? I know it's in a
It's
few theaters, right?
Yeah, it's opening in a number of cities. People have to Google. It's kind of a strange list of theaters, but we are in a number of cities. It's a very limited release, but the movie's also going to be available streaming and on demand, and it's all going to be available on July 11th.
Awesome. I'm gonna tell everybody I know to go watch this film.
Thank
But
you.
I want to watch you. What are you gonna do next after this? That's what I'm curious to know. I know the last movie you kind of worked on, Proud Mary, uh,
Mhm.
like almost a decade ago. Are we gonna have to
Yeah,
wait another decade to see what you're doing? Are you cooking something up now?
I've got a few things I'm working on. Hopefully not that long. Yeah, it took me a while to kind of take the leap into the director's chair, but I'm hoping to get to do that again fairly soon.
Do it again very soon and work with another Goonie. You should try
Thank
to
you.
collect them all like Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Thank you.
No, Christian, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with the film. Congratulations on the film, and I cannot wait to see what you do next.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. It was great speaking with you.
Of course, take care, man.
All right. Take care.